Chapter 37. The thump of weights on the attic floor carried through the old house. 𝘠𝘲𝘰𝘠 was lifting, straining, pumping more weight than he had ever lifted. His costume was different. Sweatpants covered his tattoo. The sweatshirt hung over the great red dragon and the woman clothed with the sun. The kimono hung on the wall like the shed skin of a tree snake. It covered the mirror. 𝘠𝘲𝘰𝘠 wore no mask. Up, 280 pounds from the floor to his chest in one heave. Now over his head.
Whom are you thinking about?
Startled by the voice, he nearly dropped the weight, swayed beneath it. Down, the plate thudded and clanked on the floor. He turned, his great arms hanging and staring in the direction of the voice.
Whom are you thinking about?
It seemed to come from behind the sweatshirt, but its rasp and volume hurt his throat.
Whom are you thinking about?
He knew who spoke, and he was frightened. From the beginning, he and the dragon had been one. He was becoming, and the dragon was his higher self. Their bodies, voices, wills were one. Not now, not since 𝘰𝘄𝘓. Don't think about 𝘰𝘓.
Who is acceptable?
The dragon asked. Mrs. Sherman. It was hard for 𝘠𝘲𝘰𝘠 to speak.
Speak up. I can't understand you. Whom are you thinking about?
𝘠𝘲𝘰𝘠, his face set, turned to the barbell. Up, over his head, much harder this time. Mrs. wet in the water.
You think about your little buddy, don't you? You want her to be your little buddy, don't you?
The weight came down with a thud. 𝘗𝘗𝘗𝘗𝘗𝘗. What the fear in his speech was failing. He had to occlude his nostrils with his upper lip.
A stupid lie.
The dragon's voice was strong and clear. He said the S without effort.
You forget you're becoming. Prepare for the Shermans. Lift the weight.
𝘠𝘲𝘰𝘠 seized the barbell and strained. His mind strained with his body. Desperately, he tried to think of the Shermans. He forced himself to think of the weight of Mrs. Sherman in his arms. Mrs. Sherman was next. It was Mrs. Sherman. He was fighting Mr. Sherman in the dark, holding him down until loss of blood made Sherman's heart quiver like a bird. It was the only heart he heard. He didn't hear 𝘰𝘓's heart. He didn't. Fear leached his strength. He got the weight up to his thighs, could not make the turn up to his chest. He thought of the Shermans ranged around him, eyes wide, as he took the dragon's due. It was no good. It was hollow, empty. The weight thudded down.
Not acceptable.
Mrs.
You can't even say Mrs. Sherman. You never intended to take the Shermans. You want Reba McLean. You want her to be your little buddy, don't you? You want to be friends.
No.
Lie.
𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝘠𝑗ust
For a little while. You sniveling hairlip. Who would be friends with you? Come here. I'll show you what you are.
Dollahide did not move. I have never seen a child as
Disgusting
and dirty.
as you. Come here.
He went.
Take down the sweatshirt.
He took it down.
Look at me.
The dragon glowed with the wall.
Take down the kimono. Look in the mirror.
He looked. He could not help himself or turn his face from the scalding light. He saw himself drool.
Look at yourself. I'm going to give you a surprise for your little buddy. Take off the rag.
Dollarhide's hands fought each other at the waistband of his sweatpants. The sweatpants tore. He stripped them away from him with his right hand, held the rags to him with his left. His right hand snatched the rags away from his trembling, failing left. He threw them into the corner and fell back on the mat, curling on himself like a lobster split live. He hugged himself and groaned, breathing hard, his tattoo brilliant in the harsh gym lights.
I have never
Seen a child
as disgusting
and dirty.
as you. Go get them. Get them.
He padded from the room and returned with the dragon's teeth.
Put them in your palms. Lock your fingers and squeeze my teeth together.
Dollarhide's pectoral muscles bunched.
You know how they can snap. Now hold them under your belly. Hold yourself between the teeth.
No.
Do it. Now look.
The teeth were beginning to hurt him. Spit and tears fell on his chest. Please.
You are awful, left behind in the becoming. You are awful, and I will name you. You are cuntface. Say it.
I am cuntface. He occluded his nostrils with his lip to say the words.
Soon I will be cleansed of you,
The dragon said effortlessly.
Will that be good?
Good.
Who will be next when it is time?
Mrs. Earthman. Sharp pain shot through Dollarhide, pain, and terrible fear.
I'll tear it off.
Reba, I'll give you Reba. Already his speech was improving.
You'll give me nothing. She is mine. They are all mine. Reba McLean, and then the Shermans.
Reba, and then the Shermans. The law will know.
I have provided for that day. Do you doubt it?
No.
Who are you?
Cuntface.
You may put away my teeth, you pitiful, weak hairlip. You'd keep your little buddy from me, wouldn't you? I'll tear her apart and rub the pieces in your ugly face. I'll hang you with her large intestine. If you oppose me, you know I can. Put 300 pounds on the bar.
Dollarhide added the plates to the bar. He had never lifted as much as 280 until today.
Lift it.
If he were not as strong as the dragon, Reba would die. He knew it. He strained until the room turned red before his bulging eyes. I can't.
No, you can't, but I can.
Dollarhide gripped the bar. It bowed as the weight rose to his shoulders, up, above his head easily.
Goodbye, cuntface,
he said, proud dragon quivering in the light.